Alright. Hello everyone, and welcome to our first official crossover with the Rockstar Games franchise. Rockstar Studios, whatever they're called. Here we are with Bully, the playoffs pitcher. And I here am with one of my bullied coaches. I was unfairly taken and not allowed to have my second seed pick due to a bully, and you were in the fourth seed, so never getting a pick. But it's still bullying. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Slushi. More leaning towards VGC, getting into draft recently, but it's been fun seeing how these playoffs will play out compared to last season, Reg C.
For sure. Slushy's channel will be linked below. Now, Slushy has done some VBL content, but it's all been unlisted. I don't know if you have the playlist up on your channel, or...
Oh, I'll have to fix it.
But yeah, it's mostly been unlisted so far, so I've had to remember that I have to find it in the video plugs chat. But yes, so we are looking at the playoffs picture, and this season we did see a big format change with the VBLS playoffs. This time, the first seed with the best differential got to pick their opponent from the other party, and then the first seed from the other side got to pick their opponent from the other side. And if one of the first seeds picked the other, they changed the rules of what it was to say that actually the other first seed has to agree or they can veto it, which I think was a whole weird thing. I think it should have just been whoever had the best record gets to make choices. And at this current point, the Sky Draft finished like that. It was just all done. And the Earth Draft, we had a little bit of time while Colby was deciding who he was going to be bullying, and we can see that in fact it was me who ended up being bullied. Then our good old friend, the Texas Slowpokes, Tay, wound up picking. Let me do a little bit of maths. So
You ended up picking Samix, right?
Yeah. 9 hours later. Tay had responded around this sort of time. It's somewhere. I think I'd seen Tay message somewhere. Yes, no, Tay had messaged somewhere. So Tay took 9 hours to pick, and as a result, Daddy, who has the next pick, and whoever the last person is who gets to pick, have not had their chance to pick yet. So we won't be able to make predictions about those games, but we will talk about which picks we think are interesting for the two relevant players, which are going to be Daddy and Jay, for what we think is interesting, and just kind of get a chance to discuss how we would think about making picks. Even though neither of us did wind up getting a chance, I did get a lot of thought into it because I would have been picking, most likely picking had I not been picked by one of the other two players. So yeah, welcome to the playoffs picture. Also this is so Poppin is going to be playing Sukaba, and Sukaba was the second seed, but it was just last game, so Poppin was like, oh, I guess I'm playing you. And Poppin was also running it, but I think it's very funny to make it look like a Poppin in third place, cheering himself on after Steve and Jace actually got to pick. Mostly because I was trying to figure out what to put on the thumbnail. So yes, here, the first overall pick, as well as an incredibly hype game, we have against Raymond in the Apex Lola Marowaks. And you said that you'd taken a good look at some of the matchups in Sky Division. So give us your thoughts.
Yeah, so just a quick look, I would say these teams are they didn't really go top heavy in the draft, and that leads them to have multiple threats. When you look at Ray's team, you have the obvious choice of Levi Lucario, but then you can definitely be swept by stuff like Florges, Skeledirge, super strong stuff with Lorb, Landorus, and then you have your Trick Room mode.
Raymond's best Pokemon? Because I would have said Skeledirge.
Honestly, I'm going to have to say against BB team, it's going to be Rotom Wash. You're resisting most of his attacks, and you can do Will-O-Wisp shenanigans.
I mean, most of his attacks?
Tinkaton's Gigaton Hammer, Rotom is neutral.
Yeah, I mean neutral. I feel like a lot of stuff is neutral. The CC is neutral, the X-Scissor is neutral, the Play Rough is neutral even if it's not as strong as Gigaton. you have a recharge turn for Gigaton anyway. Just Gigaton the partner slot, and then play rough or knock off the Rotom, and obviously the other Rotom resisting electric when yours doesn't can make it a more difficult matchup where you have to like speed tie and hit the Hydro Pump and all of that, whereas the other one only just has to click Thunderbolt. So definitely, it's an interesting matchup, and Rotom is definitely fine. I think both of these Rotoms are looking very strong.
Yeah, I actually do think they're in a good place to disrupt each other. It's going to be interesting to see how they play around them.
For sure. I definitely, I think that kind of like the Firewater Grass cores are pretty sort of reasonable here, or more specifically the Firewaters, though I think Toedscruel isn't bad. Like, Skeledirge in Trick Room into this team. Skeledirge is not an easy team for the Libertyville Luxrays to take hits from, because their Ghost matchup and their Fire matchup are two very different paintings, right? It's really just Dragolgi, which, to be fair, BRF has had an absolutely incredible season with. And like, yeah, anything that can like put out damage without having to respect Tinkaton, I think is very strong on the Marowak's team. Especially if they can defensively do okay into Rotom. Do you think Richie Draco ever does anything here?
Considering he has Tinkaton here and Tailwind, I just don't see it. I think
but he only has Tinkaton.
The Tailwind aspect is you're probably going to be outsped, and that weakens your Dragon Energy, so then you're kind of limited to Draco Meteor, which is like single use.
Yeah, or a DD set.
Physical Dragon Dance?
Yeah, you know, like they run in singles sometimes.
That would definitely be interesting to see. I feel like his team's very physically bulky though, so that would be pretty hard to wall break through.
I mean, you'd be shocked how strong a Dragonclaw, Leather, and Outrage is coming from Richie Draco.
Oh, yeah, its ability does boost that by like what 1.3.
Yeah,
I could 1.5.
Leki's 1.3, so it does 2.25x damage. That's stronger than adaptability, and when you're like talking about +1 outrage, I mean, it has the same attack and special attack. It's just that like 150 is higher than 120, but when that 120 is actually 180, it gets to be a very big number. And I know I've seen some frailer steals get O-code by +1 outrage, and I can't imagine this team is super different in terms of that. Like, I can't look at a mon on this team with the exception of Tinkaton and think it's reliably taking an outrage. Like, maybe physically defensive Murkrow? I don't think Rotom does. I don't think Slowbro does. I don't think Cleavor does. Is Toedscruel...
Yeah.
Does Toedscruel have good physical defense?
No. It's
still specially defensive.
65, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it, like, in what the differences between Toedscruel and Tentacruel stats were. So, yes, no, 65 defense, yeah, it's not taking that outrage, right? It's just such a, like, the DD set is just really good at tearing apart some teams. Let's take a look at Murkrow, good old max defense Murkrow. That is an offensive
With
Murkrow.
Eviolite, I don't think it could even live it with Eviolite. If you're doing +1 outrage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even just looking at Dragonclaw. Okay, it lives +1 Dragonclaw, it does not live +1 outrage.
Yeah.
Now, do we personally love taking things into outrage 50/50s? No. No, we don't. We certainly do not. However, K.O.ing, you know, O.K.ing, okay, it is a roll heavily in Reggie Drago's favor. It's an 87.5, does 98 min to max defense, Eviolite Murkrow. So, I feel like there's a lot of stuff where, if Weavile's positioned well, it can really enable any mon on the Rays team to put so much pressure out against the Libertyville Luxrays. I feel like really effective Terra Ghosts and Covert Cloaks are needed to get that positioning ahead. Do you think Bramblegast is enough here?
Honestly, it's going to be tough to say, because even if you get the Tailwind up, stuff like Skeledirge is going to ignore your attack boost with Unaware.
Yeah, but it's not ignoring your Ghost type moves, at least.
That's true. I don't think Brambleghast can break through every single mon. I think it's going to need help eliminating its threats, like a Weavile.
Yeah. Like, it's the only fake out immunity, right? So if you lead Cloak with Murkrow, Cloak Murkrow with Brambleghast, you get their attack off. The question is, like, are we seeing Sash Weavile? Are we seeing Sash Lucario? It's definitely not... None of these are easy questions to answer. Also, just realize this is Glow King against Glowbro.
That's true.
The FBI are all here for this matchup.
And they actually are tied base speed. It would be interesting to see how, if Ray wants to go for a Trick Room mode into the Tailwind, how that would end up working out.
It'd be interesting trying to go for Trick Room against a team that is so slow as Braffs, but I feel like, honestly, it's not like a slow team, right? It's just very mid-heavy.
That's true.
I think Ditto could actually be like not a bad bring at all, right?
Scarf Ditto?
No, not Scarf. If you have Tailwind, if you have Tailwind, you're faster anyways, and if you have Trick Room, you don't want to be locked in like faster, right? Ditto, I think's best item in VGC tends to be the Quick Claw, because you already are on a 50-50 to win your speed tie, and then you get an extra 20% to win off the Quick Claw. So you go up to 65 or something. I hate maths. Just 60%? I don't know. You're more likely to win speed ties.
Yeah, it's around there. Ditto only normally sees plays in restricted, so it would be interesting to see how, like, what you would try to want to transform into on Ray's team. Maybe Lucario and get the boosts.
Like I feel like it just kind of neutralizes a lot of the other sort of things, right? A lot of the Pokemon that are scary on Ray's team are also scary to Ray's team. I think with the exception of Landorus. Landorus is, I think, Ray's scariest Pokemon that Ray has, like, answers pretty consistently, because Lando classically always struggles into killing itself.
Sure.
Definitely, I was thinking Skeledirge came as like a really big premium sort of mon to be able to like just annoy the team in the late game. But even, you know, copying something like a Glow King, or, you know, if Trick Room does come, potentially an H-Avalugg, and certainly even Skiploom, right? Threatening Sleep Powder around their Skiploom could really be unfun, especially if it is Quick Claw and you get like the Quick Claw Sleep Powder into a Weavile.
That is true. I couldn't imagine him going for something like Goggles or Terragrass on his team.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot. The only reason to run Terragrass would be for the synergy with Florges' ability, but I don't really know that you read BRAS team as trying to use status in that sort of way, as to justify trying to go for that.
That's true.
So definitely, I think this is a really interesting matchup. I definitely do get where Ray was coming from and picking it, because Lando is the fastest Pokemon in the matchup besides your own Weavile. The question is whether that Tailwind is too much of an issue, and whether Tinkaton is too much of an issue, because I find that Tinkaton can be a really oppressive mon to try and prep against.
Does Murkrow get Swagger? Because he could do some own tempo stuff. I'm not sure if he's done it already in the season.
Certainly could. I believe Murkrow does get Swagger.
It does not get Swagger.
It does not get Swagger.
I know the Torn and Thundy do. That's why I was confused. If Murkrow
Grim does as well. I used Grim and Sneasler.
Okay. So yeah, I would think that could be a big threat, especially because Gigaton at +2 can definitely get out of hand, but I don't have that option.
Yeah, if you don't really have that +2 option, it is not as scary. Though I honestly thought you meant own tempo on Tauros, but that's the wrong Tauros. Because it's got Kudzu instead. Oh no, the other one was Anger Point. Not even. I don't know what I'm on. Actually, this one's might also have Anger Point. Early Bird, dude. Taurus has like a lot of abilities. Yeah, definitely. I think this is a pretty scary matchup. I think for both of them, it seems very volatile. I think because both these teams are very wide, and have, and in terms of like the wide teams, they're very offensive, right? Jace's team, I think, because of the thing he built around, and as we'll talk about later, is pretty different in how it is sort of composed, and you have to think very differently about a lot of this sort of stuff. Whereas with these teams, you just are like, okay, Lando's scary, Lucario scary, Skeletor's scary. In some positions, H Avalugg or Specs Florges or a DD Regidrago, or even like a Scarf Regidrago can be quite intimidating. And then like Skiploom is annoying, Rotom is annoying, Gloking is annoying, and then you can very much do that same sort of analysis for the Libertyville Luxrace with like, oh man, you know, Murkrow really annoying, Rotom both scary and annoying on this site, on this team. Toadscruel pretty annoying, Ditto pretty annoying, and then like in some positions like Frosmoth even could theoretically try and pop off, though I feel like Skeletor is a bit of an issue. Tink, absolutely both a problem to kill as well as the kills back quite effectively. And then like Cleavor.
Yeah, I think Cleavor can actually be a very interesting part of this matchup, especially if you get the rocks up.
It's like
yeah,
95% of the time.
If you get the rocks up, that's taking 1/4 of Weavile and Sailor's HP, which can be very crucial.
Well, you know, that 3% on Lucario makes all the difference.
Of course.
Mostly because it's running Sash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot to be said here. I think this is a pretty spooky sort of matchup for both of these players, and I'd be really interested to see what they wind up bringing, because I'm a level with you. I think there's only one Mon here that I don't think comes, which is Blissey, and who knows, maybe he brings Blissey. You know, there's definitely a lot of Mons that I wouldn't necessarily favor coming. Like, I wouldn't favor Frosmoth coming, I wouldn't favor Avalugg coming, but who knows? I think they have places on some teams.
That's definitely the scary part about when you go a bunch of these mid 15 pointers.
Does Ray have no Tailwind because BB Raph drafted all the Tailwind setters, right? Like, so he's drafted Cleavor, which was my best Tailwind setter. He's drafted Murkrow, classic Tailwind setter. He's drafted Frosmoth, who is like one of the better sort of mid-tier, slower Tailwind setters, designed to get like that turn 2 Tailwind up or turn 3 Tailwind up as your opponent's Tailwind is feeling out. You know, it's really kind of gross sort of team to deal with.
I think... No, Ray was just kind of in an interesting spot in the draft, and taking Weavile Lucario definitely doesn't lend itself to getting a Tailwind Mon, necessarily.
I think he had Tailwind, he just dropped it. Oh, he got Skiploom as well, but yeah.
Oh, that does have Tailwind, yeah.
I did set Tailwind with Hoppip last season, so I assume Skiploom still gets it.
I believe he said it versus me in the game we played.
I can certainly believe it. So, speaking of not the games you've played, but the game I've played, here's Tay. The Tay Totaler.
Another Tinkaton.
Grim. Spec. Both. I just have like... Sam's team feels so Gen 8 to me. Like, I mean, I suppose it has a bunch of Generation 8 Pokemon, right? Which probably doesn't help that thought process, but like, that Grim Spec line was so big on last generation, and then like pretending you can pretend like Quaquaval is an Ultra Beast with Moxie, and then, you know, you've got Gardecuno, who is definitely not terrible in draft. Like, it was definitely a decent Mon in draft. You know, you've got Big Caparage, you've got Carkol, you know, and then, you know, Redirect Your Mouse. Redirection, I think, was much bigger last generation than it's proven to be this generation. And I think maybe with some of the more redirectors being added in, we'll maybe see more of it. It's like really just only been a Mungus this gen, and like all of this is like, okay, this is the stuff. Now the problem is that Tay is a Gen 9 draft, and unfortunately we're playing Gen 9, not Gen 8.
That is true. He has a lot of interesting pieces that we've already seen from last matchup.
True. Lando. Wait, does the other team have Fairy as well? No, it doesn't. Okay.
Lando, Tinkaton.
Yeah, just Lando, Tinkaton.
I guess, yeah.
But Fairy is, I think, the absolute bane of some of the really fun stuff that we might want to see coming out from Sam. Sam has a lot of interesting things, and a lot of things which are volatile, let's say, where, you know, Fairy switching in from the back can stop a lot of the stuff that Sam is trying to do. And then, like, certainly a Rocky Helmet on Tinkaton, and then like a Cerulege in the back, or a Terra Ghost could make Mouse not necessarily love being in and around. But like, Spec is still a really good Mon, right? Torn is still like a really good Mon. the fact you can't fake tiers reliably against the Fairy team is definitely a challenge for Grim, trying to get like that big turn 1 KO with Spec off to be able to snowball into the rest of the game. But also, like, Iron Hands is a bit of a challenge for the New York Ninetales. Like, can you tell me what on Sam's team you think actually breaks Iron Hands?
Breaking Iron Hands. If you don't go AV, it would probably be Gardecuno. I don't know. Does Grimmsnarl get Psychic Terrain as like priority? That's the only thing I could see even getting close to a 1-hit KO. Other than that, it's going to be a slog till you KO it.
You'd have to Terra Psychic, otherwise, because Gardecuno is a flying type, so it wouldn't be affected by terrain.
Fake out.
Grim also only gets Misty, but yeah. Certainly, no, but I mean, even like getting a 2-hit KO, there are a lot of Pokemon on this team that 3-hit KO Iron Hands. I think Mouse probably can OHKO Hands with a Terra Normal set. Certainly, like with a Helping Hand. Yeah, with Pop Bomb. Just because Mouse doesn't really interact with other Pokemon the same way a lot of other Pokemon interact with other Pokemon. But like in the back, right, when say Hands, both teams are down 1 Pokemon. I feel like it's not too difficult for Tay to be able to pick the 1 Pokemon on Sam's team, which like is actually checked, actually checks Hands, and then just go for a KO into it early. I mean, even just like the Bleakwind Storm sort of lead here, next to like a Tinkaton or a Samurott, or even a Ceruledge, and then Iron Hands coming in after that. Not only is that a difficult lead proposition for Sam in the first place, it's then also a really difficult follow-up, even if he does manage to extract a KO and not just concede a KO for some damage on turn 1. Sam's team is really continuing to lack that turn 1 damage out of Pokemon that aren't Mouse, and I think that Tay's team is one that's really hard for that struggle to be affecting your team with.
Yeah, no, I think Tay's team is very interesting, especially since for Rig, you definitely have the option for Instant Trick Room to catch him off guard, game 2, and sweep with Hands.
Not even game 2. Lead Taunt Tink, and then just have Fairy and Iron Hands in the back. You can run both modes and still be successful.
That's true.
Right? Like, there's so much, and then what if because Farrig is such a good Trick Room setter this gen, so you get to the point where, okay, I have I realize actually this time Eel and Copperaja came, so Trick Room isn't suitable, and you just don't click Trick Room. Like, I feel like the teams of 4 that take and make have so much depth to them, whereas because of Pharaoh and how it can really limit Grimmsnarl's ability to support the other Pokemon on the team, I don't feel like Sam has the same level of depth that Tay's team does.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Sam can definitely get burnt really easy on if he burns something like Terra or loses a big option in countering something like Iron Hands or Tink for the late game.
Even just getting a bad Bleakwind Storm speed drop could be really, really difficult to come back from. Like, I'm thinking into Spec or Mouse here, or even Gardecuno, right? Giving competitive is annoying unless you are also KOing at the same turn, right?
I just don't know how much Gardecuno could do. It's not going to be hitting too many things for too hard. I would feel like Ferrograph is going to resist Psychic. You could hit it with...
Yeah, I mean, Hurricane's pretty strong here, is my thoughts. There's one flying resist. Yeah, but there's only one flying resist.
That's true.
It is a pretty specially defensive Pokemon, so it's not terrible. Yeah, and obviously you don't want to miss moves, I think, in general. But, it's okay. It's certainly not an unwinnable matchup for Sam, but it feels like one that I feel like Tay is very much in the driver's seat. And this has just kind of consistently been the struggle that Sam's team has faced this season, is that Sam, is there like a good follow me with Mousehold here that I'm not seeing that like maybe can give Sam like a good turn 1? Because certainly I'm sorry?
Oh yeah, the only thing I can see is Quaquavel, and I agree with you. Like he can't reliably step on the gas and dictate the pace of the game, but Tay can do that very easily.
So if you have Mouse and Quack against Torn and Lando, and they click Bleakwind Storm and Sandsear Storm, then you just have both your Pokemon KO'd that turn.
That's true.
I feel like that's the real struggle with Quaquavel, is that it is weak to so many spread moves, and you're like, and not bulky, and not very strong. Like if you contrasted it to the Taurus we see in this other game, having Intimidate, the water fighting typing gets forced out by a lot of things, but having Intimidate means that you're getting some value out of it, even if you aren't then going into KO, even if you don't have that Moxie. Clicking Aqua Step is okay, but if Aqua Step isn't getting that Oko when Wave Crash would have, then you're getting punished by not getting the KO and then also not getting your attack boost. But then you're also not getting a speed boost if you're going for the Wave Crash there, which is where that duality really can come to hurt a one like Quaquaval. Especially without the Oricorio to copy your Aqua Step. Did you know that Oricorio copies Aqua Step?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a dancing
it's
move.
a dancing move. Okay.
Yeah. I may have lost a game to that once.
Now thinking about that, like Scarf Quaquavel, I definitely think could come out swinging versus something like Lando if you can time it properly.
Yeah, but if it's against any of the other Pokemon on this team, who just like Quack threatens 2 mons on this team.
But I think that's the line that Sam is going to have to ride. Like, Fringe to win.
Sam is going to need to have both Friend Guard and dual screens up if he wants to win in like mid-range sort of comp. Or he just needs to go offensive, hit Pulp Bomb, pressure out Tinkaton. Like he needs, but I don't know how he presses out Tinkaton because his fire type is Carkol. He doesn't have a ground type.
I could. Oh wow, that's rough.
This is definitely, I think, a good matchup pick from Tay. And I think it was probably what the matchup we were going to recommend before Tay last minute picked. Okay, back to games that you've dealt with. We've got the Grandma's Togekisses against the Phoenix Suns. And this matchup is very bonkers for the one that came out of like just the leftover players. Man. For one thing, Sukawa versus Poppin, always a very legendary matchup, but you played against one of these teams, Can you explain what was going through your head running into some of these guys at Team Preview?
Yeah, so I played Sukaba's team, and I think going into our week, I don't think that his Cole had died a single time. And I think that was my main focus, and I over-focused on that, and I didn't give Enamorous enough respect, and I think one of the games Enamorous just fucked me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't prepared for it at all, and I over-prepared for the Cole.
Can I just say, this bit of the team is going to look very familiar in a second. the Decidueye Proxy.
Oh yeah, your team.
Well, because it's also the next team we're looking at. But yeah, I mean, decently fast offense. Noivern is the fastest mom this game, which is insane. I don't know what happened this season, but there are so many slow teams. Like, both of these teams are slow teams, right? They don't have any booster energy. They don't have any 130s or 135s. Like, what happened? Why did all the fast teams die? Are the fast Pokemon bad? Is it because they drafted like 6 of them? Noivern. I
don't think they made the playoffs. I don't think the Fastmons made the playoffs. Like, I'm looking for Fluttermane. I'm looking for.
They were. I think they were both Fluttermanes were in like 5th.
That's crazy.
Canor and Zero's Gal, both Fluttermanes, I believe. Or was that both cheaters?
Yeah, they did finish 5th.
Yeah.
Wow.
These were super tight playoff races in every race except for one of them. We had like one with 2 coaches guaranteed, and then 2 others with 1 coach guaranteed, and then one with all 4 coaches guaranteed after week 6. Which is definitely something. But yeah, so these teams are not going to have a fun time bashing heads into each other, right? I mean, this is the classic Code Amron versus Sora matchup of Ursaluna against Urshifu Dark. No, Noivern is definitely a really interesting sort of support piece here. I feel like in a very different way to Sam, but in a somewhat similar way to Sam, the Sukaba's team has so much power on turn 2. A lot of that question is about how Sukaba wins a game is how he gets to a good turn 2. Because, you know, if you lead Ursaluna and Klefki, Ursaluna's not burnt yet, it's not that scary, and Klefki is a Klefki, so it's not that scary, or even Mesprit, or even Bruxish, and trying to get that Trick Room up. You know, do you want to lead Persian? You don't love leading Persian in Trick Room, but you never truly hate it, right? Because it does have U-turn to be able to get out, and you know you can set Trick Room up the most reliably with that support. Or do you commit to running an Amorous in lead and risking an Amorous taking damage before Trick Room is set up for the damage that it puts? Because, you know, oh, here's the other Chi, right? But yeah, Moonblast pretty good. No, Springtide Storm it is. Springtide Storm is pretty strong here. Moonblast is pretty strong here. Terraflying Terrablast is pretty strong here. You know, the Phoenix Suns do have what 1.2, like 1.5 fairy resists. One of them being Alolan Dug, and the other one is Toxtricity, which isn't a very good for fairy resist, and certainly not when they're both weak to Earth Power, which Lando also has. So
that's true.
You know, both of these teams really are like oscillating between wanting to keep the gas on and get and pull off the gas like turn to turn. I feel like Goth could be a really valuable positioning option against some versions of the teams that Sukaba brings, but against other versions of the team that Sukaba brings, Goth is really just dead weight, and it is very difficult to predict, even at team preview, which of these sets of versions of the team are going to come to lead.
Yeah,
especially when you have the best Tailwind Pokemon in the game, Decidueye.
That's true. I was just going to say that it feels like Sukaba's in the driver's seat because if you expect one lead and you get the other, you probably get burnt pretty hard. I don't see a combo of Mons that can handle each lead properly.
So, I think that Poppin has to make good plays, turn 1. But I feel like I this feels more like two motorbikes rather than someone sitting in the driver's seat and someone sitting in the passenger, right? Mm-hmm. Sukaba's definitely a bit out ahead, but if Sukaba swerves a little, you know, if Sukaba's not in it, it can be very, like, Poppin punishes really hard. Poppin's damage is so good into Sukaba's team. Like, Sukaba's team does not have a single Pokemon that is taking 3 attack Urshifu well. Because, you know, it's got 2 fairies, and they both don't take Steel moves well. One of them is fighting neutral. Can you imagine if this was a Qianpao instead of a Chiyu? But also, it's Chiyu. Look at Chiyu's damage here.
I think we already have a team that is Qianpao instead of Chiyu.
Yeah, but it doesn't have Urshifu. It's single. It has the other Urshifu.
Yeah.
It has the one that's in a relationship. So, yeah, I think that there is a lot that the Phoenix Suns can do here, but just not as much as the Groundless Togekiss. I think you're right. I think that the front there is pretty good, but certainly if this is the sort of matchup that Poppin often thrives in trying to come up with really consistent lead options, right? And sometimes that can get burnt, right? I'm thinking like the last Grand Finals matchup against Raymond, where Raymond completely dismantled it because Poppin covered for like 5 different lead matchups, but it was the 6th lead matchup option that just wound up breaking through his team consistently. But like, if Sukaba doesn't manage to build beyond the stuff, like, you know, imagine like some like nonsense like Terraflying, you know, Imprisoned Facade Trick Room Goth, and then that comes out on the right in the right lead, and you're stuck with Shadow Tag, hard-walled Ursaluna, who can't hit Goth at all because it doesn't have Facade and it can't click ground moves into it. And then the other Pokemon you're stuck in here with is Klefki or with Mesprit, you aren't doing that much damage anyways, and then Torn is there as well, and it's setting up nasty plots, and then Torn just like cleans through a game, or, you know, some nonsense like that is the kind of stuff that Poppin really thrives in showing off, especially with this bonus week of prep heading into playoffs. I really think that we can see a very strong game coming out of Poppin, though I do feel like Sukaba is absolutely no slouch. Sukaba is a very, very tough test for Poppin to be throwing out, both as a player and absolutely with his team.
Well said. I would just, I don't know, I think the big players that Poppin's going to have to utilize that I think Samurott could be huge here. Probably living colossal stuff. Probably can deal back good damage to a lot of his team. I think if he can utilize it properly, it could be an insane, like a niche pick that I don't think I would be expecting if I was Sukaba.
I think there are a lot of very decent mons. Like I don't think there's a mon besides Alolan Dougie and Shellos that I think stay behind. I think everything else can come. I'm not a huge Bruxish believer in this matchup, but it certainly isn't unusable. I feel like
it would just be used to like set up Colossal, and it can actually imprison Trick Room, which would be
more relevant if it was on the other team, but certainly not irrelevant. Dude, the Klefki, are we going to see like some stuff that is this going to be Facade Klefki with Imprison? And like an air balloon, and then like the Mesprit is also a Trick Room, so that you can't imprison. You know, is Sukaba going to pop and you know, I feel like that would be very funny to see.
That would be insane to see the imprison.
Like it wouldn't be good at all, right? Which is why it'd be really funny. Like that'd be one of the worst leads you could do into a Shifu, you know. But imprisoning with the Prankster Imprison was like the thing that he kept doing last season. Until it lost him Grand Finals.
Yeah.
But yes, Chiyu, I certainly think we didn't necessarily super discuss, like, oh my god, how strong Torn is after, like, a single Nasty plot with Chiyu in. They have, 2 flying resists? Is there one I'm missing? No electric type, right? There's just two flying resists on this team.
Cole and Clef, yeah.
I don't know, I feel like Torn might be him. There's so much that these teams can do, and I do feel like it is really down to figuring out what 4 to bring against the opponent's team of 4, much more than it's down to what 6, because you can bring so many good pieces in these teams of 6, and these teams are so well built to support each other and to have pieces that work well together that I don't think it really matters what 6 come to team preview as much as it matters which 4 you bring from that team preview. And I feel like you could see a different combination of 4 every single game if this went to game 3 from both teams, and it would still be pretty strong.
Yeah, no, that I think encapsulates it pretty well overall.
Yeah, which I think partly is just down to these teams not having like any hyper obvious synergies outside of I will set Trick Room with one of my 3 Trick Room setters, or Tailwind with one of my 3 Tailwind setters.
Yeah, and there's no, I would say the only advantage between the Tailwind would have to be that Noivern goes first before Torn, which can be huge for a type version.
But you could even like Noivern, and then click Taunt with Noivern and Tailwind with one of the like an Amorous, or like you could have Tailwind and Taunt on it, taunt the Taunt, and then just set Tailwind with an Amorous and then go for damage the next turn.
That would be pretty crazy to see.
Well, I feel like
that's something
that's what I did. That's what I did to Tay. But like, I'll be very excited to see this game. So, Shilgun's Bites against the Boca Raton Belly Bolts. I think that's how you pronounce that. Is that how you pronounce Colby's team? I'm not sure.
Boca Raton. Yeah.
Bocha? Is it Bocha? Raton?
Somewhere in Florida, man.
I just realized the joke is that you think I'm actually not able to pronounce Boca Raton. No, it's just that he keeps mispronouncing my team name.
How do you pronounce yours?
Shogun's Bite, exactly how it's spelled.
Oh,
it's Unsbite and Shelgon. Shogun's Bite.
Shogun's Bite.
Shogun's Bite, yeah. It's just breakfast combined with the word Shelgon, which is why he has a lovely tray of food in front of him, including some pibrocook. But apparently, someone also likes some pancakes. It's quite nice. Orange juice, of course.
I never got that joke until now. That is ironic.
It is. Well, it's a pun in Dutch, so the fact that you don't get it really shows that America has moved away from being New Holland, in much the same way Australia also moved away from being New Holland, because they kept naming things New Holland and then losing control of them. And yes, so the bully shows his stripes, picking on poor defenseless me after my 0-3 start to the season. The 7-0 coach is like, okay, I'm going to pick on the one who had the really like crummy sort of season. Ignore that I was second seed and that we're all just 4-3. Half of the division is 4-3. But
So just looking at it, I mean, there's a lot of mons that we've already talked about or will talk about that keep on reappearing here.
I think good Pokemon might be good.
That is true. That is true. Good Pokemon
I hate this one. I do not like this one.
Which one?
Rotom Heat. I'm not streaming my screen to you. I've only just realized I'm so used to doing A to Z's where I am streaming my screen, where I'm used to people being able to see what I'm like highlighting over. I do not like seeing Rotom Heat. I feel like Rotom Heat was so bad when I had it, and then but that was just because the team was bad, and then this team is good, so Rotom Heat is really good.
I've never been a fan of Rotom Heat in draft or VGC. I just, as a concept, I think Wash is just so much better.
Fairy.
But, I mean, like, he already drafted a Mungus, so like.
Yeah, but like, please tell me what, is Amoonguss really going to be beating my Fairy type, which is Mimikyu? I don't think so.
I guess not. Put it to sleep and it might.
Yeah, but safety goggles is kind of like the core Mimikyu item.
How many safety goggles can you run? You only get one goggles.
On the Mimikyu.
On the Mimikyu, okay.
It's like letting them know on the Fairy
that
type.
Mimikyu's running goggles.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, I'm more than happy to say that I have, look, in standard VGC, if you're seeing a Mimikyu, it's either Mental Herb or it's safety goggles. And I just want, I think personally, I'm well known for only running the exact movesets that are on standard. So let me just make sure. I'm pretty sure that the sets I run are all on like standard. So let me just make sure. I'm going to check the Enamorus, right? And when we click on this regular Enamorus, we're going to see its most used item is a utility umbrella. Sorry, that's the wrong picture for which Enamorus it is. But this is the fast Enamorus. It just has the Therian one, and the Therian one doesn't have a picture. Okay, I bet it's going to be utility umbrella, right?
I can't see your screen, so you'll just have to tell me.
I mean, I'm just like Peakalytics. No, for some reason, but obviously it's not a utility umbrella, right?
Yeah, I know.
And then okay, I'm sure when we go to look at Cleavor, right? Number one item going to be Insect Plate. This is odd. There's no Insect Plate here. I think this must be a typographical error. It says Assault Vest, but that wasn't very good when I ran it. Therefore, Insect Plate's correct. Okay. Salazzle, right? Number one Salazzle item. What do you think of when you think of Salazzle? In draft, on the occasion where you see it against you on ladder and standard, obviously the item that you expect it to be is Pashu Berry, right? So I'm sure that's borne out on the 0.01% usage stats, right? The Pashu Berry on Salazzle, right? I only run like the most. Okay, it broke the server. Broke Peakalytics.
Yeah, you can't even click on Salazzle.
Yes, that's what I found out.
That's how broken Pashu Berry.
That's how common Pashu Berry.
They don't want you to know.
They it's the only item there, and it's like, gosh, we didn't realize that you could have 100% usage of just one item, outside of like Ogopod forms, I assume, and like Zacian forms, I assume. Like, it has more than 100% Pashu Berry usage. So obviously, I'm just going to run exactly what you see on Peakalytics, which means it's going to be Mental Herb or Safety Goggles on the Mimikyu. I actually do not know why. I think does Gastro run Citrus? I don't know.
I think Gastro runs lefties.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dude, metas are weird. I remember when Gastro was running Covert Cloak in good old Reg A. Yeah, I think that Citrus probably performs slightly lower, but like there's a million items that are good on Gastro. It's just that I'm only going to run the most common one, Citrus Berry. Which I think means that half of my Pokemon can be Citrus Berry or Focus Sash.
Alright.
Or Salt
Big
Fest.
question.
Yeah.
Pink Gastro or Blue Gastro? Which team are you?
Which one is on the slideshow?
Not the right one.
Yeah, obviously I'm not part of like the, hardcore right-wing January 6 supporting blue-colored ones. I go for my nice centrist, good old anarcho Joe Biden-ness, regular maybe Gastrodon. I actually do not know how to. You have to like click on the sprite of Gastrodon to change it to blue in the in Showdown, right?
Yeah, but I always do that to make sure I'm right. Like,
Okay, never ask a man his salary. Never ask a woman her age. Never ask Slushy where he was on January 6th. Is it like 2 years ago now?
2?
Wow, no, just a year ago. It was 2022.
2022 January 6th.
Yeah, nearly 2 years ago. Yeah. Dude.
Back to the matchup.
The good thing about this matchup, every other matchup I was playing against a fast ghost type, so Hisuian Typhlosion, Spectrier, or the other one, Dragapult.
Yeah,
the Dragapult I dropped, by the way. And I didn't want to play against a fast ghost type because I would like the chance to use Wigglytuff, and Wigglytuff is not good against fast ghost types.
I sure would have loved Dragapult. I tried trading for it. I got blocked.
It's not a good Pokemon. I dropped it because it's bad. I mean, I actually dropped it for points, but I'm gonna pretend it's because it was bad.
Yeah. Looking at your team though, I think it's the first that we reviewed, and maybe the first in all of playoffs that reliably runs Booster Energy.
I have never heard this side. I think I've only activated a Booster Energy once this season.
Really? On both of your mods?
Yes, well, the important thing is I have barely ever brought Iron Treads, and when it had Booster Energy, it did not hit the field. And the other time it was Assault Vest, and it got OHKO'd by Power Whip.
That's quite a story.
And then Iron Jugular, so I've only run Booster Energy on once. Because I had like Specs where it didn't hit the field. Booster was okay, but I did lose the game where I ran Booster, so clearly it must be bad. I had like that Mental Herb one where that won me a game. Shout out to the Jordan VGC, because that was a very strong idea from his camp. Yeah, I just don't think. I don't know if I've heard of this Booster Energy item. Surely I wouldn't.
Do you want to talk about the matchup now?
Yeah. I said Wigglytuff is good, didn't I?
Yeah. I guess I'll talk. What do you think about like going into this? Obviously, I'm pretty familiar with Palafin Amoonguss. Pretty staple of VGC, especially with something like Land OT. Very good switching synergy.
I mean, I think Palafin is consistently shown to be the worst mon on every Palafin team in like power. Like I remember people made up like the Palance meme, and then if you actually looked at the format, it would just be Arcanine, Fluttermane, and Amoonguss on every team, and then like one in like 15 teams that actually made Top Cut would have Palafin, and all the other 15 teams with Palafin were not in Top Cut. And like
when was this?
This was good old FAAP, or Palance, the two separate names for team structures that were a good structure, and then also adding in Palafin. I think Palafin is pretty underwhelming in draft, because your opponent can just play well, and then Palafin doesn't do that good. When I had it, I thought Palafin sucked. When I last played against it, I thought Palafin sucked. Like I think
if you don't write those words, then that would be unfortunate.
I mean, we'll see. I think that this is certainly a better team to support Palafin than those other teams were. I considered picking up Amoonguss on my Palafin team, and I think it probably would have been a good pick back then. Certainly Lando is okay with Palafin. There's the classic like Lando, Asterion, and Empoleon thing in singles where they have perfect defensive synergy with each other. Obviously, Lando doesn't resist grass, which makes it not as good as a Palafin support, but I don't know if you're super worried about grass. Clearly, I don't have a single grass type on my team. This Pokemon is red and brown. That couldn't be a grass type.
Did why is grass?
No, it's red and brown. That indicates it's like a fire ground type.
Oh, you're right. But what if you Terra Grass?
Well, I suppose I could just have my Rotom talk to a lawnmower. And we can see how that works out. I want to like play a league where I could get Rotom and I'm just allowed to use any of the forms,
Same thing with Ogerpon. I just want to draft the only Ogerpon and run any of the forms.
Good old 50-point Pokemon.
That's fair.
We have to make it more expensive than Chen Pao and whatever other Pokemon we're pairing with Shampal.
Side DJ, how expensive do you think it's gonna get with Ogerpon? Because that, like, especially Ogerpon Fire, that's like, I would imagine it's broken, even in draft.
Do you think it's better than 25?
Because if we look at the...
Yeah, no, it's really
right
good,
now.
right? Okay, but its usage in, like, the Teal Mask thing, right? It's not representative of anything, and its usage is like, 6th so far.
Those stats are not accurate. If you're going by Pikalytics, they're like some weird stats.
Yeah, I mean,
bugged.
the stats on Pikalytics are always... It's not bugged, they're just old. Which they, like, kind of always are. But,
20% of all Fluttermane are running Dazzling Gleam?
yeah, about that, probably. But it's not set up for Reg E yet. It just has, like, the preview one, which is weird.
From my couple hundred games on Reggie Ladder,
I think it's very good. I just think it's a 25-point Pokemon.
I think it could be 26. I don't know. I feel like, especially the utility, like a speed boost or an attack boost that you get off Terra, just seems like...
Don't you only get an attack boost off Terra?
Yeah, but it's like Zacian. You get it if you switch out or switch back in.
Yeah, no, sorry. You said speed boost or attack boost, and I was confused by what you meant by that.
Oh, yeah, you only get...
the water one that gets the speed boost? No, water gets special defense.
Grass gets speed.
Grass gets speed.
Fire gets attack.
Rock gets defense.
Yeah.
I know something about these Pokemon. The other one can run an item, the grass one, the speed one.
He can.
I mean, the other ones can also run... The other one's items are all broken, so...
1 point... It's basically Life Orb. Basically.
No, it's slower than Life Orb. It's Soldew for every type.
Is Soldew 1.2?
Yeah. So, like, Insect Plate and stuff.
Okay.
It's not Old Gen Soldew, unfortunately. I think it would be much funnier if it was Old Gen Soldew.
Fuck, man.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to play the game anymore.
No, do you know why that would be funny? Because Old Gen Soldew only gave you a special attack boost.
Really?
Yeah, it's +1 special attack, +1 special defense. So, that would be less strong offensively than the current one, because you wouldn't be getting the boost on physical
And
moves.
attack. That's true.
Yeah, so I think Palafin's annoying, but not that good. I think Lando is pretty rough for my team to deal with. I think Rotom is a real struggle for my team to break through, and I feel like I don't really have tools to play around a Shifu. Is that sort of the analysis that we were hoping for? Because I feel like that's basically how it stands. Like my Dark Resists, Iron Jugulus.
Are you gonna beat the bully? Are you gonna beat the bully?
No, I'm not. Dude, have you played Bully? Jimmy Hopkins succeeds in everything he does. He takes over the school. There's no stopping the Bully. Also, I just kind of thought it would be cool to have like Shelgon be like the rock getting slung. But mark my words, Rotom base form is really bad here. That is my prediction.
I think Wigglytuff is the answer to all your problems. Play rep Wigglytuff, probably KOs, one-hit KOs, Thundurus, and Urshifu.
Why not competitive? Because I would likely get a competitive boost in this game.
That's true.
The problem is, I don't have Dugtrio anymore. Dugtrio 6-0's this team. This team is only good because it's good, and Dugtrio is a good Pokemon. Therefore, their team
Is this team good?
Is it? I mean, it's 7-0, so probably.
Nah, it has to be like a fluke 7-0. I don't know.
I mean, you've seen every game, right? You're certainly welcome to watch every game. I think this team is fine. I think it is worse than before it had Palafin, but it's a pretty minimal change. And I mean, you've done all right with Palafin.
And I've even had more support with Palafin. Yeah, no.
Yeah, well, I think the more support is... Right, you're 4-3, and this team's 7-0. I feel like committing further to a Pokemon that is not as good as it is in Standard, and is still like a flawed Pokemon in Standard, is not always an improvement. I haven't had a chance to make the video because my co-host was fell sick, but I was going to talk about all the different transactions. Well, not all of them, but about many of them, and then about like what they meant throughout the season. So yes, Palafin replaced Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't a big change, right? Sliggoo H and Meditite weren't real Pokemon, and Voltorb. Like, I think that Hatena is probably better than Meditite, and only slightly worse than Sliggoo. Which mostly speaks to how bad those Pokemon are. Like, Sliggoo can sometimes cheese games if your opponent doesn't prep for it, but I think that's really it. Palafin is reasonably better than Inteleon.
Are you ready to be really bullied by Snowcloak, Bright Powder, Articuno?
Famously, I did once lose a game to clicking Dragon Pulse into a Zygarde and then missing. So I don't think so. I don't think I have recovered from that.
We'll have to see.
All right. So, Camo Dude against Steve of the Steve clan. Our last first seed coach. It's only taken us how long to get there? An hour?
It's not that bad. I think like half of that's just talking about your matchup and
was it
tough.
Was my matchup like that long? Okay, it may have been. So, Heatran, another Pokemon that we see a lot in playoffs. Tinglu, not a Pokemon we see a lot in playoffs. Dondozo, also not a Pokemon we see a lot in playoffs. Dragapult is a Pokemon we see a lot in playoffs. No, I think it's funny. So what are the Pokemon these teams have been on other playoffs teams? So Eel, Heatran, Gastrodon, Farigiraffe, Spupa.
I think good Pokemon are just good Pokemon, man.
Arcanine, Articuno, Dragapult.
Is Meryl?
Meryl is coming up. Meryl is coming up.
Yeah.
So, despite having the best ability in the game, slow start, Varum has only made playoffs on one team. What does this mean? What does this mean for LeBron's legacy?
Let's find out.
I like how Coolfish is the third fastest team on Camo's team, despite the fact that Camo doesn't have a real Trick Room team. Like, it's just Coolfish.
Yeah, that is low-key crazy.
Coolfish is like not even particularly slow for this matchup, right? Coolfish is the fifth slowest mon. So both of these players are playing this game. One of these players is playing the game in a different way to the other player, which is also true for the previous game. I think Spupa is very good. This is like one of very few teams where I think Spupa's redirection is actually pretty relevant.
I don't know. How do you break through Tinglu Dozo? How?
I literally just beat it last week. Very easily.
Talk about this team, but what does this team have? Like,
you're right. There's no bug types.
Yeah, there's.
Actually, Steve's team is shockingly weak to bug types, if not for the fact that he obsessively uses Fortress.
Now that I'm looking at it, maybe you found something that no one else has noticed.
These four all really suck into bug types. And then like Arcanine, I beaten with bug types. Dragapult, I lost to a bug type. Bug types are just broken. Sometimes you just have to do the triple bug draft, and then you realize that actually bug types are broken in VGC. Because they'll have like two really good answers, and then once you kill those, the other four Pokemon don't answer. And three of those generally trades two. You just need the third one to KO the remaining two Pokemon. So Fairy, like, I don't know how Camo made playoffs. I don't remember watching. Like, I recently rewatched. I recently rewatched all of like the games from the other division. No, I remember Camo beating you. That's the only game I remember watching. I think that in the other one that Ryan spotlighted, I did not rewatch through all of you guys' divisions of games. I have no idea how this team made playoffs. This team is so weird.
If you look at our division, it's famously, it's not famously, but it's a bit mid.
I suppose that you did make playoffs.
That's true too. I don't know. I just like. I think the core of Tinglu, Dozo, Dragapult, Arcanine is gonna be very hard to break through.
I don't know if Dragapult's actually in that core.
One NAIC. At least, obviously, it doesn't translate the same to
I mean, it won.
but-
It won Sydney Regionals immediately before it won NAIC, but go off. Justin Tang was really a
versed in
rider.
the Sydney?
Yeah, the one that's in my country. Yeah.
Wasn't Sydney with the Iron Hands Trick Room?
Shit, was it the Melbourne Regionals? Was it Perth?
I think Melbourne was the first Reg C one, if I'm remembering properly. I'm pretty sure you guys only had two, which was like Perth, which was
no. We had internats. We had Brisbane, but it was TCG only. And Pokemon Go. And this Brisbane one will actually be VGC after so long.
I have it up right now. The
It's this
one
year.
you said, something good. Sydney. Palafin won Sydney.
Was it Pal? Did Dragapult not
Yeah.
win? Any of
That
those
was
ones?
Fort Wayne with Justin Tang.
You're completely
Same weekend.
correct.
Same weekend.
Same weekend. Palafin's a weird Pokemon, man. I did use I've used all of the top 4 teams from the different regionals and internats that we've had in Australia. Dog, do you know what they cancelled the the APAC internats this coming season?
Really?
Yeah.
No,
to
like
qualify.
APAC or OCSE one.
Whatever they call it, I don't know.
I don't think APAC has, because it's in APAC like Arab countries.
No, APAC is Asia Pacific.
Oh yeah. Okay, then yeah, they did cancel.
You're right.
They did
It's
cancel.
called OCIC, but APAC is what the region is generally referred
Yeah.
to
No.
as.
No. Okay. Yeah. No. You're
So
right,
like,
you're right.
yeah, they cancel it, which is very frustrating because it
Yeah, I've
means
been
that
talking
I
to
have to
some-
get a visa to get to Worlds. Even if I win all 4 regionals, I think I have to win all 4 regionals to qualify.
I think I was talking to some Australian
all 4 to day
VGC
2.
players.
That's
Do you know Henry Rich?
Yeah,
You know?
I haven't been in the scene since COVID. I just haven't gone back into it, but I've spoken to Henry before. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was talking to him recently, since I'm like decent friends with him, and he was telling me like how it sucks because I think you have 3 regionals, and in order to make Worlds, you have to get top 8 at every single one,
Yeah.
or win one of them to auto qual.
Yeah.
Which is brutal.
To make day 2, you have to win all 3.
Wait, isn't day 2 based on region though? So wouldn't you just? I think you just have to be the number 1 in your region.
Yeah, I think we've only got. I think I'm probably being hyperbolic again. You have to be top 2 to get day 2 in.
It's top 2 now.
Was it top 1, top 2? I don't remember.
I thought it was top 4 last year.
Yeah,
Or,
no,
like, top
they
8 or something like
no, they cut it down for OCIC for Oceania. They cut it down as well.
Damn.
Is it top 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? I don't remember. I
I
just
think it's
remember it
top 2
changing.
now. I remember he said it was cut in half. So I
Yeah.
don't know how hard it was cut in half, but
It was
Probably
cut
before.
pretty like. I feel like they should have been investing in the Australian scene. We had like the largest events in Australia. All of like OCIC and both regionals, like sold out immediately. And like Australian TCG players have won Worlds as well, right? Like the Australian TCG scene is super strong. I really don't agree. Sorry, we've gotten completely sidetracked. Though I think Electro did top cut at one of the Australian events.
Australia always brings some wild stuff. I'll say.
I mean, I'd say that NA is like the most bland by like a lot, right?
oh,
then it's
bring
like-
wild shit, of course. NA, like the stereotypes. NA brings wild shit. EU
No.
is always.
No. NA brings the boring stuff, right? NA is always kind of
EU
like,
brings the boring
dude.
stuff.
EU is where like Iron Jugulus won a regional, right? Like, when has NA ever had like an interesting set? Not since Ray Rizzle was around, right? It's like you have like
That's
a couple
wild.
YouTubers, and then everyone else just plays like standard dot. I mean, to be fair, a lot of that is also true for LATAM. It's just kind of true for that in general. And then you'll have like a couple of really high performing things, like all of like like David Kotesh, for example. You tell me that David Kotesh is an uninspired player?
Well, I'll do the Shaq meme. I'm not too familiar with this game. David Kotesh to.
David Kotesh is the Czech player who keeps bringing just absolutely nonsensical Pokemon. Like, if you ever watched a Full Swipe Gaming video where he talks about how like a Pokemon that has never been good in singles actually had like two top cuts in European regionals or internats, and like came to Worlds once and made like day 2. Yeah, it's because David Kotesh was using it. You know, like he is on crack, like absolutely insane builder. Very much an aspirational figure. But yes, in terms of this matchup, I don't understand what Camo does here. Like, an Amorous is not bad here, but is an Amorous good ever? My experience says no. But certainly I think if I had run into this matchup, I would probably feel a lot better about having an Amorous. I did not run into any matchup that looked anything similar to this.
What does an Amorous really get it? Because Tinglu weakens it. Suing Arcanine, I guess you could go superpower to hit it.
Yeah, like for one thing, it doesn't weaken the physical set, but also like Intimidate does like it's got Earth Power.
Yeah, you get a boost.
Yeah, like so. I mean, if you're running Contrary, you get the boost, and if you're not running Contrary, why do you care about being intimidated? And you know, like Earth Power.
Are you really gonna run Q Charm?
Well, yeah, you run Q Charm if you expect to. Like, there are positions in which you run Q Charm, which is where you think Contrary will be bad for you. In singles, they run Q Charm because there are, like, a couple interactions that they don't necessarily want to do it. And, like, it punishes U-turns, right? This isn't a great Q Charm matchup because there are several Pokemon that are non-gendered. Is Wordier 100% male? I think it might be.
I don't think so. I think the big 100% male ones are the genies. I don't think anything else is like 100%.
There are definitely more than... Okay, for one thing, Taurus is 100% male, but Wordier is 50-50. Like, there are definitely other Pokemon species that are 100% male besides Taurus and the genies.
That are big, though?
No, not that are big. I was asking that are in this matchup.
Oh, in this matchup.
Which is why I asked about Wordier.
Yeah, I think everything can be...
Grimmsnarl is relatively big. Punishing a Fake Out with a Confuse is funny. An Attract, whatever it's called. Also, Nidoking. Very funny Pokemon. Classically runs.
Is it? I think it's, 30% to activate on contact and then 50% to immobilize?
Yeah, it's like a better static sometimes. Like, it's conditional, but better with the conditions.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, that's generally the issue. I think that's the issue with a lot of these weird conditional things, right? I wish like Rivalry gave you a more aggressive boost, because I think we've seen like one Rivalry game in 10 seasons of the VBL standard.
What mons get Rivalry that are like besides Haxorus?
Well, Haxorus was the one mon, but like Haxorus has been drafted in plenty of seasons. Like Pyroar gets it, but it's not a physical attacker. Yeah. Nidoking gets it, but it's not very good. Luxray gets it, but it's guts. Yeah, I think it's like Unfazant might get it.
I don't. Yeah, now I'm looking at it. Doesn't not get it. The only one you would want to run is Haxorus.
But no, the problem with Rivalry is that it only is a 25% boost for a really crappy condition.
Could you imagine a 50% boost on something like an Outrage though? Like,
it'd be okay, which is a significant improvement to bad, because so many good Pokemon are non-binary, right? I mean, look at this matchup. We got Tinglu and Gardecuno.
It's non-binary. I don't think non-binary is neutral.
Yes, like Tinglu and Gardecuno.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I mean, it's just not like a relevant ability. Half the time it's not like half the time it's good and half the time it's bad. Half the time it doesn't impact anyone because so many good Pokemon are non-binary, and then like you have a bunch of other Pokemon that are also good who are 50-50 male female, and then in draft you just like run the opposite one, and then like you know.
But how do you know? How do you know which gender Haxorus will run?
It's bigger with Nidoking because Nidoking is 100% male and Nidoqueen's 100% female. Back in the oldie days, but yeah, definitely less of a thing you can do with Haxorus. But even then, just roll the dice roll. Like Cresselia used to run. I don't think it was Attract. I think there was another move that specifically worked for like opposite genders, and they used to run it for Torn. Like for Sun teams against Torn in Black and White, because it's 100% female and Torn's 100% male. But yes, I do not think that this is a great Cute Charm matchup. That said, if I am Steve, I'm still making all my Pokemon like set to female to avoid Q-Charm.
Just in case.
Yeah. The girls, the gallies, the galdem. Yeah. But like, what the hell does this team do? Yeah, I don't understand what has happened here.
I think the only threat that Camo realistically has is going to be just setting up body press Iron Defense.
On Heatran?
Gudra.
Oh,
Gudra.
Is that even better than Heatran here? Like, it's not a Dragon Resist.
Just base typing, I would say. Like, yeah, you resist everything but Tinglu.
So you're weak to Tinglu, you don't really, like, the neutrality...
Heatran's weak to Tinglu.
Like, the neutralities are the problem, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like Spupa, you just Rage Powder and
yeah, but why not do that with Heatran instead of Sliggoo? Or have both?
Dondozo, I would imagine.
But is that not the same problem Kudra has of it being unaware?
Oh,
I feel like Acid Spray offense could probably be pretty good, right?
That I've seen a lot on Regi Ladder. People don't run Iron Defense Gudra. They run AV, Bulky, and then they run like Acid Spray with stuff like
this
Muddy
team
Water.
has 3 good Acid Spray users.
Who gets Acid Spray besides Gudra?
Overquill, Quillfish, the poison type, but also Eel. Eel has seen a decent bit of Acid Spray usage. Like, Gastro is not a bad abuser to a lot of this Acid Spray abuse, and you could even run like a slightly faster Gudra than Heatran and throw out Heat Waves or Lava Plumes. Though I dislike that this team has no way to really use Lava Plume, because there's no like telepathy or anything. Or even like a Pokemon that's burn immune through an ability. Like, where's the Seeking? Clearly Seeking would make this team better.
I think the true matchup will be Impidimp setting up screens.
How does it set 2 up? Did I miss something? What has happened to this Impidimp that it's got 2 screens up? How did it get 2 times?
Is it pure fairy, right?
No, it's Dark Fairy.
Fairy Dark.
It's Dark Fairy. But like, so normally the way that Impidimp gets 2 moves off is one of them is Fake Out and it has a Focus Sash, like, and then the next one is Prankster move. But like,
I mean,
even Prankster doesn't stop, right? Because you can get E-speeded.
Yeah, who's using Pranks? Who's using Focus Sash besides Impidimp on this team? No one.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the only way you get 2 moves off is if one of them is Fake Out and it works. And even then, that still doesn't work because of E-speed.
Sure.
No, I think an Amorous just has to like really pull it off, right?
I don't think it can versus Tinglu. I think that's just a brick of
If
wall.
the Pokemon that should lose to an Amorous means that an Amorous is bad, that's a real problem for an Amorous. I feel like Tinglu, like, it puts a lot of pressure into Tinglu, and then you still have a bunch of other Pokemon. The problem is that like this team's list of physical attackers is Body Press and Quillfish. What's
Always got Explode Electrode.
His self-destruct, not explosion. And who's he self-destructing next to? And what the hell's that doing to Tinglu? Yes, the Terraghost Impidimp.
Terraghost Impidimp for the double screens. That's how you get double screens off. You get a crit self-destruct on your Terraghost Impidimp, and then you hope that...
What are you critting? What's dying to a crit self-destruct, even with like a choice band here? Please enlighten me.
I don't know. Maybe just hope Fortress also goes for self-destruct.
I mean, to be fair, that was not a bad win condition against Steve previously. It's just hoping that the Fortress kills itself.
Hopefully you call the Terraghost right play. Go from there.
It's like, how many really bad explosions have we seen this like format? Like there was like the explosion. There's like the Sukaba explosion. If we go back to the Sukaba one,
the Colossal.
There's like the worst play of the season. I think was that turn where both of them just made really weird plays. So the Terragrass Armroot should not have clicked Terragrass without Flash Fire. It really shouldn't have. That said, the Colossal also should not have exploded itself, because Rock Slide would have been better. Even if it was Flash Fire, Rock Slide would have been better. But I mean, he did the explosion for the memes. I still have no idea why why they Terragrassed the Armarouge? Do you know why they Terragrassed the Armarouge? I still don't know why they Terragrassed the
I have
Armarouge.
no clue, bro. Maybe he thought he was Flashfire, genuinely. Maybe he genuinely thought he was like, yeah,
Maybe
Flashfire.
bro forgot. Like, he's doing... I know why, right? Because he was side U-turning with Meowscarada. But the Meowscarada wasn't Scarf, so that was a bad play. Yeah, no, it was a turn. Shogun's Fate, no, this was the game. So... I don't know. I genuinely could not predict who wins this game. Like, I think that Steve is lightly favored. But, like, what the hell is this matchup?
You want to run down the list of all the teams once we're done to see who, like, we think is going to win?
Yep, sure. The Daunting Dragonite against the Golden Goats. Okay, so I will say that one of these players really has not been in the season, you know, barely scraping in after losing to this team that makes no sense. Barely scraping into playoffs, getting 4th seed, you know.
Whoa.
And then getting
I had playoffs guaranteed.
Yeah, everyone did
Going
in
into
your
last
division.
week,
No one was
guaranteed.
playing the game in your division.
Camo Dude was. I think Camo Dude.
Camo was
and
locked as well.
everyone, and, like,
Everyone
he
was
wasn't.
locked.
He had to beat me. He had to beat
No,
me. to get locked.
everyone was locked.
No, Camo had to beat me.
No, because the only person who was competing with Camo won. Goose went from 2-4 to 3-4.
No,
And-
the Pancakes.
No, Pancakes had a way more negative score. Pancakes also won.
They were
No, Pancakes
tied
did
record.
lose.
They
You're
were
right.
three-
You're right.
they were both
Pancake
three.
when Pancake lost.
You're
Camo
right.
locked.
I'm right. You're wrong. No, I'm
No,
but-
when Pancake lost, Camo locked because Camo had
Yeah,
much
yeah.
better numbers than -5 and could not physically go down to -1. So
But
even
I
if you
think
2-0, Camo was making.
At the time, me and Camo were playing. I think it was
Pancake-
still a winning.
Pancake's game was the first game of the week.
Oh, really?
It was
Okay.
so early that they actually updated on the doc who was locked into playoffs the second it happened. And I had completely forgotten that there was a time before that game had happened.
Jeez.
Like completely, it was an early game. Good old Ray and Pancakes. Good on him. But yes, so the Daunting Dragonite against the Golden Goats. This is
Do you want to-
this is like
want me to
this
take
is
over?
this is Giga Wide against Top Heavy, right? You have like the Giga Top Heavy against the Giga Wide, and I
What do
think
you
it's
mean?
really fun.
Like, Diglett beat up, like Jay said, Diglett beat up into Arcanine is going to be insane here.
You know that there is 100% preparation for that Diglett. You know that we are going to be seeing like Scarf Bullet Seed from goddamn Stantler, because Fungus isn't fast enough with a Scarf.
I wouldn't.
And I
be
think
surprised.
Stantler has Bullet Seed. I don't actually know though. Like, are we going to be seeing Dual Wing Beat coming out of that Hawlucha from the DLC? You're going to be getting double kicked from Tauros, you know, if you try that.
Into Chapao? Yeah, no, I would imagine.
I mean, not only into Qianpao, but it also covers Diglett, because Diglett has 5 HP.
It's all gonna be fun and games until
Wait,
it's actually
is
a
it 5
Zoroark.
HP or is it 10 HP? Diglett is 10 HP, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, the extra bulk really matters with its 25 base defense.
I mean, the 45 special defense, I've run Eviolite, like, outside of Little Cup and lived a move with Diglett before. But it's nowhere near as special defensive as Doug Trio with an Assault Vest. That one is
think-
like 40, 100?
I think.
No, sorry,
At least
35,
from-
70? I was wrong on both. All I know is I lived a Moonblast from a Xerneas once, so that's really the important thing.
That's crazy.
I was Assault Vest max but half, so. And I had to Earthquake it to get it in range of Alolan Marowak.
Quite a win con.
Well, it was more like just the non-loss condition, though I think the Marowak did get 4 kills that game.
Jeez.
It's a good Pokemon. I don't miss it. It was really, really scary to run into. So, Mud's Basculegion. I mean, there's a lot of Pokemon that are annoying for your team, but your team is very good. You have the 6 best Pokemon. Your top 6 is so good. Qianpao, Dragonite, Amoonguss, Arcanine, Zangoose, and Slowpoke are so good. And then
They are really good.
they're so good that you sometimes run 2 of them at the same time.
Yeah, that's happened a few times where I ran 2 of them at the same time. Fortunately, I'm so privileged to be able to do that.
Yeah. and neither of them ran field threats, right? And then there's like another Pokemon that you kind of have on the team, but this is not a particularly strong Palafin matchup, right? D-Knight is just... D-Knight feels pressured to take so many hits in this matchup.
That's the problem with D-Knight. Like, people worry about D-Knight, but then it's partners that do too much. Because like, if you worry too much about D-Knight, you'll probably get put to sleep by like a Moonus or something.
No, what I mean is, D-Knight is like the only Pokemon that can switch into a slot and not die in this matchup. So obviously, like I said, Eviolite, Slowpoke can do that as well, right? Or potentially a Duat or a Gabite. But like, if you're switching out Palafin, Amoonguss is not really a great switch into the Palafin slot in this matchup, because the moves that's coming into
punish?
Hawlucha, Kilowattrel, Hatterene.
But you have to call it. Like, if I switch an Arcanine to that slot, then like Hawlucha eats an Intimidate. Like, you can do damage.
Hawlucha literally has the ability that makes it not take Intimidate. And again, it doesn't resist flying. D-Knight does, because of multiscale. D-Knight resists everything because of multiscale. It's a really good Pokemon.
What do you mean? Hawlucha definitely takes Intimidate. What ability does it get?
Doesn't it get Scrappy?
No, it has Limber, Unburden, and Mold Breaker.
Huh. Why did I think it had Scrappy? Oh, I know why. I've been playing in GPL, which is the custom Mega format, and Mega Hawlucha has Scrappy.
Okay.
My apologies for the confusion.
It's all good. But I think, honestly, like, genuinely, I think the Mon that's going to have the most impact is probably Zoroark.
You think this is the Zoroark game? That's interesting.
This is the Zoroark game.
So what does Zoroark do? Like,
basically, I've mainly used it as like a fake Amoonguss or fake D-Knight bait.
I think that's pretty good.
It could be D-Knight, it could be Amoonguss.
That's definitely fine. But I mean, in this specific matchup, like...
Oh, that's the thing. Like, it baits. So like, you can bait a lot of stuff into taking a special hit when it wants to take a physical. Like, especially Morgrim, if you set up the wrong screen, like, you're in a bad spot there.
Yeah, I mean... Like, in some situations, though I feel like, in general, Jace's team is relatively good on the special defense side, and it's the physical defense side that's more concerning. Like, Gudra taking a bit of Malice or a Shadow Ball is not going to dislike that as much as not having a Reflect Up for a Dragon Claw, But I feel like the offense on Jace's team is definitely something that D-Knight is by far your best Pokemon in answering, and then Palafin is okay at after it has like upped, because I feel like a lot of the offense is really difficult for Amoonguss to switch into, because again, there's a lot of like the flying offense, the psychic offense, and then like the adaptability Ghost is not something it loves, and like they're not going to be clicking Hydro into your team anyways, because Arcanine doesn't take Shadow Ball that much better.
That is true. I would say though that Amoonguss is so like basically just so bulky through its regenerator. Like, I mean, if you really want to, you can...
Amoonguss is really good in terms of its bulk at lead. It's just switching it in that can be more challenging. In this matchup specifically. Like, this is just, I think, I definitely understand where Jace was coming from in picking that your team. I think...
No, I definitely see where he's coming from.
Yeah. Obviously, the other team had gone. Well, two teams had gone at that point, right? But the team that he would have been able to pick was not Raymond's, it was Camo's.
Camo.
And I can certainly understand trying to pick Camo's, though I don't know how to prep against Camo. I feel like prepping against you is just bring damage, and then a lot of times the damage sticks against every Pokemon that isn't Amoonguss. And like, if you have Chen Power out and Amoonguss is taking a physical attack, Amoonguss is not taking that physical attack. But Chen Power's damage is also good, right?
So, like, I don't think the only physical attackers he has is like Hawlucha. Tauros too, but
yeah. And
I just don't see
the thing is that D-Knight is so good at switching into them.
With the AV, yeah, he is. Or multi-scale.
Yeah, with multi-scale, yeah.
That's been my favorite set, is running multi-scale, but like, especially versus Intimidators, because they think that you're a Zoroark, and then you can get some cheeky hits off.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I mean, Dragonite is absolutely a mon that has that functionality. Oh my god, the Anger Point's gonna come. What are you gonna do against the Anger Point, Tauros?
What does he have to activate Anger Point?
Luck. Sucker Punch from Morgrim. Scope Lens Morgrim. It's you've heard it here today, folks. It's Scope Lens Morgrim. I actually do not know if a single move, like there's just Frost Breath and Fowler Trick in the game, right?
I think yeah, those are the only 100% crit moves.
Yeah, and neither of them are 100% accurate. You know what they need to bring back? Pika Papaya.
What the fuck is that?
Pokemon Let's Go, 100% crit, priority electric move that partner Pikachu got. I will draft
so
Sash
busted.
Pikachu to activate Anchor Point.
Those moves are so busted.
It's like a 20 base or maybe 30 base power move, so it's like a 45 base power crit move from Pikachu.
So, like, the Pikachu ones weren't that bad, but the
The
Eevee ones
Pikachu
were like
ones-
crazy.
No,
the
like,
Eevee ones were
the
fucking nuts.
regular speed Pikachu ones were very, very good. But like the Eevee ones went from it heals its heal bell to it's leech seed to it's 100% burn on it, like a premium base power move.
Yeah, and I think one of them is Reflect, another one's Light Screen. That's the side effect. One
Might
is
be. It's also the only way to remove hazards in the game. Is Eevee.
Wow.
Because there's no rapid spin or default. There's only rocks, but yeah. The real question is, what switches into Zangoose? I think the answer is nothing.
I would
I've
have
never
to-
heard of Orthworm. It's not real.
Final Gambit
Basket
is
Legion?
scary.
Final Gambit
Basket
is
Legion.
pretty good. Yeah, I said all Basket Legion.
Basket Legion.
Just do it into the slot that's next to Basket Legion. You are naturally faster, therefore you have a winning matchup. That's how that works.
Yeah, you would lead POW, Zangoose, so you predict the tear on the Basket Legion, and then you Final Gambit into it. Like,
Yeah,
That's
and you Final Gambit and Crunch, and the Crunch should pick up the remaining health.
does it seriously have that much HP?
No, I clicked Aquajet. That's my favorite thing against them is one of the pettiest Final Gambits I've ever seen was a Final Gambit that they hit it with a priority move, but the Pokemon that used the priority move was Sash, so Final Gambited them anyways. And sometimes we take that 40%. That said, you didn't mention your best Final Gambit Pokemon.
Who else can run Final Gambit?
Diglett.
It really gets Final Gambit at 10 HP?
I don't know if it doesn't in this gen. It does,
does.
in previous gens. Yeah, I thought so.
It does.
Yeah. Stug Trio and Diglett have both used that before with in singles, because it's just like a switch move, right? So the best way to think about Final Gambit is that it's a pivot move.
That's why I like it for Palafin. You take one out and then...
No, it's good. I think that Zangoose is definitely not unusable in this matchup. But I think the real powerhouse here is Duat. I feel like we're not appreciating it appropriately.
Duat. I actually think it's funny. I didn't really think about the Final Gambit stuff with Zangoose until I think Jace made a video at the beginning of the season talking about gimmicks you can do.
Oh my god.
One of them was Final Gambit Zangoose, and I didn't want to do it week 1 in case
Yeah.
I think Bray watched that, and I was like, let me break it out week 2. And I broke it out week 2, and it won me the set because of that.
So what you're telling is that you owe Jace your playoff spot, and Jace is coming to collect.
I don't know if I would be that generous. We'll have to see.
Well, you just need to not be generous, right? You just need to win if you don't want that. So now, the two games that we haven't decided yet. So the Philadelphia Ash Whoopers is the current person that it's on to pick, and there are two teams left, which are the Anchorage Alakazams in the middle, and on the far side, the Damascus Driftlums, coached by Rich Weave and Purple Rain, respectively. Speaking of teams, so obviously this is Palafin again. Palafin, Pokemon that we've talked about on two other teams, and Palafin is just a really consistent high tier Pokemon. I don't know why.
Palafin where?
The Finizen I meant.
Oh, Finizen. Okay.
Sandy Shocks got picked up after Tay dropped it. I had Sandy Shocks and Iron Hands on a team, and it was a pretty fun team. The Nachi. This is a weird Like,
Wait till I draft Sandy Shocks as Spothra next season.
Also, this is the other Qianpao team. How did both Qianpao teams wind up being like... And last season, I think we had one Qianpao team that was like Giga top tier, and then the other one was not really that. You know what I really want to see? We had like a round 3 Chiyu. Imagine if you'd picked up Chiyu. You could have had like a real tournament team.
Chiyu, Deny... at that point, I'll just pick up Flutter, Dundozo, and Tatsugiri, and we can just call it a day.
Dude, Paoyu is so fun. But yes, Thund. Wait, I didn't realize this. Have they always had Dotrit and Diglett?
And
I mean, and
wait,
by always, I mean
do.
post transactions.
I
did not realize they had both.
I don't think pre. I think pre they.
No, yeah, post transactions. The transactions they picked up Dotrit over Krook, who was not very good. No, a Spothra? No, they didn't pick up Krook, right? It was a Spothra.
Does it really matter? They're only bringing like 5 mons plus a bag every week.
So, like, they've left some of the 5... I mean, before transactions, they were only running 4 Pokemon, and they brought the same 4 Pokemon to every game. Now...
What, Corv?
No,
Pal,
Corv was on the bench, and a Spothra was on the bench every single game that they played before they made transactions. Like, it was in the 6, and it did not hit field. Did not come. It was just Pal, Urshifu, Arcanine, and Fungus every game. So picked up Thund, picked up Diglett, Ditto, picked up Doug, and they've all seen some play. Fungus is pretty good. Corv, I think, has been a bit underutilized.
I don't... How do you beat Power Ursh? That just seems like a... I guess with Terra, but...
I have a very consistent way you can beat Power Ursh against this team. It's called you read the 2 spread moves that OHKO both of them, and you click them both, and they can only answer one of them.
You're gonna OHKO... What? You have Dazzling Gleam?
Yes, they literally have Dazzling Gleam and Bleak Windstorm.
Oh,
unless you meant on Purple Rain's team, in which case they're in Bleak Windstorm. They have Heat Wave, which I don't think OHKOs. But yes, they do literally have Dazzling Gleam and Bleak Windstorm. Obviously, you know, one of them will be Sash, but like, they need to OHKO the Scarf Guard as well as KOing Torn, and Torn has Terra, and like, potentially a Sash. It's always annoying.
Honestly, if I'm Daddy, I'm definitely taking the PAL team. You can easily just outspeed them.
I mean, it's definitely not bad, right? But I think Thund is a bit of an issue for Daddy's team.
I mean,
and like Arcanine isn't a good
Goodra walls Thund out. So if you get like a favorable, if you get a 1v1 scenario, you can wall that out. Thund doesn't really want to deal with.
I mean, Thund can run Focus Blast, right? We've seen Focus Blast hit into Goodras in this league.
That's the thing. In playoffs, I don't know if I'm relying on a 70% accurate move to win.
Well, you're just talking about getting walled out, right? If you're expecting to click 8 Focus Blasts, it's pretty reasonable to think you'll hit 2 of them. Let alone, like, it's pretty reasonable to think you'll hit 5 of them, right? You know, just think of it like Fisher. If you can use all the PP you expect to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I've had moments in games where Heatran has missed, in VGC at least, where it just missed double Heat Wave like twice in a row. So. And
that's rarer than missing Focus Blast. You know, just hit Focus Blast. See, my opponents, the key is, right, just play against me, and then you will always hit Focus Blast. Not Heat Wave, though. Heat Wave did not work out for Purple Rain. Wouldn't recommend it. Purple Rain's team. Classic Roaring Mid. Screamtail.
You really think so?
You think this is... no, Roaring Mid is just like the funny meme. I think Roaring Mid is...
Well, no, I know that. I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Is Roaring Moon pretty good into this other team? Because Breaking Swipe is just good?
I mean... I don't know. Like, a lot of these pieces, I don't see how they gel together. Like, how does Gyarados go with the rest of the team?
Mostly by clicking Thundurus Kick and then having the other Pokemon click a physical move. Or by like clicking Brave Bird and OHKOing a Pokemon, or by getting Helping Handed by Gyarados. This Gyarados has had the funniest movesets all season.
Gyarados has such a wide move pool.
And I don't think that any of the attacks have ever been run by Purple Rain. Like we've seen Flamethrower, we've seen Thunder, we've seen Hydro, but I think we've not even. I'm not sure. It doesn't learn Bounce anymore. I guess maybe that's why. Maybe the real problem is that it doesn't learn Bounce anymore.
Well, my favorite beard has always been Waterfall T-Wave, and just hope that they have a bad luck day.
I mean, you're not exactly Jirachi, or Togekiss, or Shaman Sky, or Dunsparce, or the Dunsparce. You should draft the Dunsparce and run that set, the Glare Headbutt.
Oh,
I
think at one regional there was a dude who did that.
Chance to flinch, right?
There was a guy who did that at a regional. He would run Tailwind with.
If you ever run Hydro Pump. If you've ever run Hydro Pump.
A lot.
Yeah, but like if you've ever run Hydro Pump, you have a higher chance to flinch than to hit Hydro Pump.
Oh my god.
I love maths. Also, I think Doug sweeps. Dunk broken. No, I do think this is not an easy matchup for either of them. I think I would consider the Screamtail one, but I think you're right. I probably would take the matchup into Richweave. Just roll the dice.
Yeah, I don't know if I could take losing to Screamtail on-court disable. That would piss me off a lot.
They need to give my homes disable so that I can run Encore disable. I too can be Purple Rain and lose because I clicked Encore and they got locked into a good move. And then still win plenty of other games for not Encoring them into good moves, but you know. It's like when I got Encored into Calm Mind when I was already planning to set up to +6/+6. It's like, sure. Man, Thund, what a guy. I think it's very funny that Thunder's like the only good Pokemon on the team. No, I think Arcanine is definitely a problem for the Ash Whoopers as well. I do think that they can pressure a Shifu really hard, and that Scarf Shifu does not do enough damage in this matchup. Like, Scarf Shifu doesn't KO without both Terra and Sword of Ruin Torn. So, yeah, it's like give me a nice shot.
And then you also have Sunny Day on Torn, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely think that is pretty reasonable. That said, both of these teams have like a bunch of Pokemon that are never coming, right?
Yeah, I would say the bottom 5
I'd say the
are
bottom
almost
3 on
not
both.
coming.
And then like Flapple isn't coming in this matchup. So then it's like 7 Pokemon here, and then it's 8 Pokemon here.
Yeah.
So I think that there are more Pokemon on Rich's team than on Purple Rain's team. So this is not a good Ditto matchup. When your opponent has more reliable Tailwind, Ditto is a negative matchup. It's good into Trick Room, or especially if you think that you are able to run Tailwind, because then you are fine without Trick Room being.
What about the Ditto into Torn, though?
Well, you need to call at lead which slot they're leading Torn in.
Can't be that hard. 50-50?
But they also may just not lead Torn.
That's true. But then you get to see their moveset at least.
You get to run Mental Herb and then taunt their Torn. Because you just win the speed tie. They click Bleak Wind Storm. Promise. Which also makes taunting a lot worse. Yeah, the Ash Whoopers, definitely a team. Now, onto their final matchup, because this is the other person in the division, so whichever one doesn't get picked, and we're currently thinking Purple Rain. But we're kind of thinking, okay, if you're Jay, and you've got this funny Annihilate, Dragon Ball, Klefki, Iron Bundaroo set, Big Psych, you know, Delphox, what are you hoping falls to you? Which of these matchups? And we've already looked at the other teams. Flapple is a better Pokemon in this matchup, and Doug is a worse Pokemon in this matchup, so I think that Purple Rain has 8 Pokemon, and Richweave has 7. Honestly, Pichu could actually come.
You really think so? You're bringing Pichu?
And Tinkertoff. Like, I think just having a bag fake out is okay into this matchup.
It's not bad.
Like, certainly, I don't think the other matchup was. But, like, whatever Pokemon is next to the Ghost is probably going to be pretty vulnerable to fake out. a lot of Pokemon that are really good Sash users on this team as well, which is what makes me think that.
You know, like, if you're the Mawas, you don't want to face Weave's team, just from the fact that Urshifu can crit through a lot of your setup stuff, like Screeds, Ape, and Mudsdale. You can get through that really easily, but you have to watch out for the bundle and the Uctra, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, bundle is pretty good into that team. And, like, Terra Fairy Delphox is also pretty alright into that team.
And Croak.
Mudsdale's not bad at all. Croaker's inconsistent because they have like Psychic Fangs, Qianpao, and Croaker's not good into that. They've got Flare Blitz, and if you're Dry Skin, you're weak to fire. And then they've got Brave Bird or Drill Peck on Corv. This is probably a Drill Peck game on Corv. I really don't think you can afford to take Brave Bird Recoil, but you may run like a bulk up Power Trip set in some games against this team.
Has he seriously ran Psychic Fangs, Qianpao? I haven't watched any of his games.
I don't remember. I've watched all of them. That doesn't mean that I remember where he's running or not.
I've only ran 4 moves on my PAL the entire season. Like,
well, have you run into a Toxicroak when you had no Shifu Rapid?
No.
Then why would you have run Psychic Fangs? That's like the one matchup where it's relevant. Like, you know, you didn't run into this one specific matchup that this tech move is good in draft for? That's crazy how you haven't run it if you haven't run it. I cannot fathom. It's like, damn, I'm surprised you haven't run it every game. I mean, obviously, it's also fine. It's like Toxapex if you're concerned about Toxapex, which, if you feel like pressured to switch, Toxic Spikes can be annoying. Baneful Bunker can also be annoying, though. And then you'd also would not be bringing Foonge, because Foonge absorbs Toxic Spikes anyway. I played a Toxic Spike game in my latest Toxapex video, and someone Terra poisoned their King Gambit, stayed in, took like 80%, because the Terra like made them neutral to a thing they would have resisted otherwise, switched out, and then switched back in to absorb the Toxic Spikes. That was the most disrespectful thing I'd ever seen. If the King Gambit stayed in and just attacked, they would have won anyways.
Yeah, I feel like it's overstated how impactful Toxic Spikes can be.
I don't think it's ever been overstated. People are consistently saying that they're not good. Like, and then they've added in a bunch of poison types who aren't going to be particularly good, but who people are going to use for a bit because they're new.
Oh,
and it's going to get even worse. Yeah. Like Okidoki, Pheasantipity, and Monkey Dory.
I'm excited to see them in draft. I think
they'll be alright in draft. Like, I don't think Pheasantipity is going to be great. I think it's really more of a singles Pokemon than a VGC Pokemon, but the other two seem fine because you can just slap like a Choice Item on them and they'll do something, or Life Orb on them and they'll do something.
Okidogi is basically, if you can, it runs very similar to Ape. If I'm going to be honest, you just spam bulk up.
Except for the fact that you should never run that at any point because it's not good. So you should just run offensive. Like, you know, it's like what is the most successful Ape set in Reg D? Just beat up with Rage Fist CC, like just offensive. Like bulk up is not good, and it can be okay in draft. It's probably okay into both of these matchups. That said, you do want to run Psychic Fangs here because it also hits Annihilate super effectively, as well as being able to break screens. Sure. This is a really good Psychic Fangs matchup, actually. I hadn't realized that, but this team does not have a great Psychic Fangs matchup.
Arcanine struggles under this, I'm going to be honest. You can't intimidate the Ape, because then you give it Defiant. You can't intimidate Bolt.
Consider Rockhead Flare Blitz.
Yeah, you're just going to get taken out by a Hydro.
I mean, it's been Scarf when it's come so far. And Iron Bundle, like, is Iron Bundle running the funny thing? Does Hydro hit? Do you just Terra anyways? Like, you know, there's definitely questions around that. And if you burn Flare Blitz, then you KO through Sash. I did that with Incineroar a lot in Gen 7. Like, Incin was so good at killing Sash Pokemon in Sun. Like, you have Groudon on the team, you have Incin, and then you just click Flare Blitz, and then they go to Sash, and then they get burnt, and then they die. It was so much better than my other Pokemon that had Burn as a secondary move at killing Pokemon in that way, because the other Pokemon was Kyogre, and I was mostly clicking Water Spout or Origin Pulse.
Wow.
But I did occasionally click Scald, and mostly when I thought it would not be into a Sash Pokemon. I don't think I ever got a Scald burn with Kyogre in good old VGC 22.
Never. One thing I think is interesting is
again because it KO'd the Pokemon, so they didn't burn.
Yeah,
It's like,
but
Mostly because it was
Interesting
KO.
burn tangent. I've lost, I think, in counting 4 games, like 4 sets in like actual tournaments where Chi-Yu has burned my Chien-Pao on Sash.
Yes.
But it's never happened to my Dragonite. Like, I always would lead something with Dragonite. Dragonite's never, ever gotten burned from a Heat Wave.
Dragonite's got that secret water veil.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Bro has that thermal exchange. Except the exchange it's making is that in exchange for not getting burnt, your Chien-Pao is dying through Sash.
Yeah.
Bro is like, equivalent exchange. I'll give up my friend in exchange for slightly longer life. Yeah, I think if you had the pick of the litter, you honestly don't like running into either of these teams, but they're both okay. Like, I really don't love your matchup into the Damascus Driftlums. Like, Gyarados is not fun for this team to deal with. Like, it clicks D-Wave, and then this team loses. On the plus side, like, Ape is, like, fine into both of these teams. It's not amazing, but it's fine. What can you even Terra Ape into? Like, Terra Water Ape? But then Thun.
I think you just would try to... I don't know. Versus some teams, yeah, Water for Weave's team, and then I would go for something that probably resists Acrobatics. I don't know how often he's running Acrobatics on Moon.
Well, if you're trying to resist flying anyways, like, you're also running it for Gyarados. I feel like part of the reason Gyarados is on the team is so that you can run a greater spread of damaging options on Moon. But I don't know.
I mean, Mid only really got...
kind of hate Perish as well. Like, just like, I feel like against Purple Rain's team, Purple Rain's really good at getting 2 KOs in the early game, clicking Perish while they have 3 or 4 Mons left, and then, like, Ape not doing anything, and Mudsdale not doing anything, because they need to set up to do stuff.
That's definitely a possibility.
It's definitely, like, a concern that I would have.
I just think that Bundle can definitely force Terras really, really early if you don't have the right items. Versus Gyarados, Freeze Dry is definitely scary. Same thing with Mid, Gyarados, and then Hydro Pump for Hydra.
You gotta give him his full government name. At least call him boring Mid. I mean, I do think Flapple can come this game.
Has he ever used Flapple?
I don't know. I was like, am I my father's keeper? Flapple's good though. Flapple got picked up late in the season, and like it's not like a great Pokemon, but Flapple is good into this team because look at their Grass Dragon checks. It's got Hustle, so it's strong as a result of having Hustle. But like, what takes Flapple moves on this team? It's a similar thing to Regidrago, right? Imagine it's Regidrago, except instead of being good by being good, it's being good because 20% of the time it misses.
Okay, just
I think it has a higher attack stat than Regidrago.
Purple has only brought like 6 Mons the entire season.
Even with the pre-transactions?
I guess it doesn't show pre, but
yeah.
Post, like, he's only brought NASA Stack, like, Games brought 5.
That's a decent amount.
But his entire other team is 16, 17, 10, 17, 17, 15. So he's like bringing the same 5.
Yeah, I mean,
every single.
They're pretty good. I think Gyarados is like probably 17, right? I'm just trying to look at some Flapple calcs. So, how much does Dragon Bolt take from Sucker?
It would be Sucker, Hustle, Life Orb. I would imagine the set.
Yeah, so Bulky Pult has a chance to live, but it's favored for Sucker to KO without Terra, and obviously you may want to Terra. Yeah, I agree that it would be Bulky Life Orb is what I would tend towards, though it's possible that he wants to run an item that doesn't take health. But Sucker's 94% chance to Oko, max HP, Dragapult. So Klefki is like the only Pokemon that takes hits, but it's also not a good Pokemon.
Yeah.
In the sense of like it doesn't actually scare you at all. Does Crabapple have like a defense? Like, does it drop defense? I don't remember.
I think it does.
I know the other one drops
Special
defense, right? No, that's Apple Acid, the Appleton move. Crabapple does also drop physical defense. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So 2 Gravapples into Klefki, if it's specially defensive, is it like 2 a KO? Like Gravapple is a 2 a KO into Klefki.
Yeah, but then you're relying on Hustle hitting twice, which is...
Yeah, but you're relying on Hustle hitting twice anyway if you're playing this Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, Gravapple is a 2 KO into physically, like, mixed defensive Klefki. It has to be, like, genuinely physically defensive to And even then it's not. No, even then it dies. Unless you are, like, literally max. You have to have no speed, and even then it's a roll. No, it's not a roll. It's -1.
What do you think about, like, that whole idea in general about running, like, more trading power for accuracy? What do you, especially in, like, a playoff scenario like this where you lose once and you're out? Like,
well, Crabapple is like 120 base power move. Yeah. I feel like if you are running Flapple, you're running it because they don't take any, like, none of their Pokemon take hits from it, right? So you want to have power. I think that you trade power for accuracy when you are trading power for it. Like, you want to run that when there's a reason for running it. And I think there is a compelling reason for running it, which is that Flapple is good here. And I wouldn't recommend running it.
I'm just saying, like relying on hustle to hit consistently is just... I personally wouldn't do stuff like that in the playoffs.
Because obviously, Mayrill with Sap Sipper and being Fairy type, hard walls. I mean, I don't know why I would change that play in playoffs. I mean, bro's been running Heat Wave all season, you know, it's... Sometimes it'd be like that.
Sure.
Sometimes it'd be like that. I mean, consistency is a pretty nebulous, like, sort of thing. Because I found that Lovely Kiss was a super consistent move. Because your opponent didn't get to...
Like 55?
75. Not 55, 75. Which,
Sing is 75, 55.
Yeah, Sing is 55. So is Grass Whistle before they cut it. But the reason that it's a consistent move is because the only thing that's more scary than the 25% chance you miss is that the 25% of the time your opponent is clicking a move. Now, if you're clicking a move that does 40% or 80%, 90%, 98%, your opponent's clicking a move anyways. Stopping them from clicking a move is reducing the amount of randomness for, like, that, like, the stuff that's out of your control. And stuff that your opponent controls is often scarier than missing. So if you can threaten Okos in exchange for inconsistency, then you probably still want to do that. But if you're not threatening Okos, if you're just doing chip damage, you probably don't want to have that inconsistency. Which is why I like Flamethrower and Heatwave, right? Heatwave can sometimes have really big utility, but having consistency from Flamethrower is very valuable. But, you know, in playoffs, you often are running against very, like, good teams. In general, they're going to be teams which are less exploitable, and thus, you know, these moves are... You have to sometimes really have to mix stuff up. And if you're coming from behind, you are going to want to mix stuff up by running good moves.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to calculate. I wanted to see how well Annihilate took Outrage. If it's level 100, it takes it pretty well. At level 50, it's O-code. Max HP is O-code by Outrage.
In screens or no screens?
No screens, but that's what Psychic Fangs is for.
That's true.
Because they have a good Psychic Fangs user in Screamtail. Do you think that either of these teams really Rage Fist is good into either of them? It definitely can be good into Richwave's team.
I think it can be good into both.
I feel like most of the time you aren't taking hits unless you are dying against.
Yeah, that's the problem. Especially versus Weave's team, you're getting crit through screens. So
well, yeah, but you can tear it around. Well, like the reason that Rage Fist is really good when it's more than when it's 150 or more base power. If you are only getting hit once and then you're getting 2 KO'd, but like you can just Terra Water or Terra Grass or Terra whatever the hell, and then the getting crit doesn't matter as much because you're getting a 200 base power move off of Surging Strikes. But if you're taking a Brave Bird and you're still getting 2 KO'd, you are clicking a 100 base power move once, that isn't going to OHKO them. Yeah. Whereas like the 200 base power is going to OHKO the Urshifu back, right? You're happy to take 40% through and spend a Terra in exchange for Urshifu.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're taking less if Chen Power isn't on the field. Or if they, you're taking more if they have Terra'd, and like, you know, who cares if it's 2 KO if then they're dead. And that's why I want Domanitan to come back. I really miss him.
Gallard or Manchan?
No, the regular one. The regular one's stronger because Flare Blitz is stronger than Icicle Crash.
But Gorilla Tactics?
Yeah, it's still not stronger than Sheer Force Flare Blitz. It's only stronger really on moves that aren't Flare Blitz. So the coverage moves are stronger on Gallard Domanitan, but like in Sun with Helping Hand, you can OHKO Dragonite through multi-scale with Flare Blitz.
What the
Now,
fuck?
you don't need Sun to do it with Icicle Crash, but that's because it's 4x super effective instead of 2x resistant. Like, you can Oko... I have, in VGC, on a meme team I did, Oko'd Palkia with Flare Blitz in VGC 22 from Domanitan.
Oh, that's 4x.
That's a 4x resist, and it's not a frail Pokemon. Dragonite's not a frail Pokemon either, as you well know. It's pretty good, you know, like, Domanitan's numbers are insane. Also, you can't boost the damage of Icicle Crash through snow or hail, so
Yeah.
its top end is lower than Flare Blitz. And that stuff is fun. It's not necessarily good. It's not bad, right? There's a difference between not good and bad. And a bunch of stuff that's not good is still fine. And you shouldn't feel bad about using it. To be honest, I actually think that it's possible that that Bandit Gravapple could 2-hit KO this entire team. With the exception of Masquerain.
Band?
Yeah, like Bandit Gravapple. Just Gravapple, right?
Which team?
Oh, dude. The Mayako Molars.
Oh, okay.
The Intimidate from the other team is the reason that you can't. From Overquill. And, like, you know, 4x
Gravapple
resist.
killing Polt? I guess, yeah, Polt's not that bulky.
Dragon Ball is really not that bulky, because
Delphox is
Gravapple...
probably not coming.
I think you can go Delphox with it, with Gravapple.
Cyclozar too?
Yeah, I definitely think you could Oko Cyclozar. So if you click Terra Grass and have gravity up, where's the gravity? That's
The Screamtail did gravity? Oh no, Sandy Shocks does.
Sandy Shocks does, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you run gravity, it does Oko max HP Pult. Well, it's 81% chance, but like, if you have any chip or they don't have max HP on Pult, you Oko with Gravapple.
Yeah.
And certainly think Annihilate would die. No, Klefki, Fizdef Klefki wouldn't, but like, it does 70 to 82 to Fizdef Klefki. You know, let's see max HP Delphox with its 75, 72. Oh no, it dies because it's frailer than Dragapult on the physical side. Bulkier on the special side though. And Toxicroak takes 130. I think, you know, I definitely think Flapple can come in this game. I don't think it will necessarily be choice banned, but I do think that Flapple has a place in this game. Assuming this is the matchup.
Option. And it would be the first time ran.
Yeah, I do think so. But like the other thing about inconsistency, right, is if your opponent doesn't prepare for Flapple, and Flapple can Oko their entire team, which we've just checked, and it can do everything. If it's specially defensive Klefki, it can Oko every single Pokemon on this team, with the exception of Masquerain, who I also don't know if has come this season. You know, that's you know, that's something where it's more about your opponent is in a position where they are inconsistent, whereas your team is more consistent there.
That's true.
Even if you were missing 20% of the time, if they have nothing for it, they got nothing for it, right? Also, does Iron Bottle have to run Booster? Because how much stuff can run Booster on the Damascus Drifloon's team? Because Iron Bottle is
like
so bad with Booster and so much better with Sash and Cloak.
The only issue is you can easily get Encore disabled with Screamtail, but you could as easily Encore with
Screamtail.
Bundle.
Yeah, you can't get Encore into Encore.
Yeah.
So Screamtail wins because it can't get Encore into Encore. But it can disable Encore. Can't disable another move. So yes.
Do you want to look through all the matchups now and see who we would say is going to win?
Yeah. So let's just go back to the yeah. Well, I mean, we'll go back to the start and then go through here. So, game 1, Apex Lola Marowak versus Libertyville Luxrays. Do you want to like go through like betting odds on what you think it is?
How would you want to determine the odds? Like
just like I'm saying this is I think 3-2. Apex Lola Marowak
To win?
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would say that's around there.
Yeah. So it's pretty close, but I would say that it's like 60% of the time. All right, South Texas Slowpokes versus New York Ninetales. To be honest, I got to give you like 1 to 4 odds. I think South Texas Slowpokes are very favored to win.
Yeah, 1-4. I would definitely agree with that. I wouldn't even say
4-1.
push it to like 1.
No, it's not 5,
like,
right?
4.5.
20% of the time, Sam can win, right?
4.5. I would say 4.5.
Well, that's like 15% of the time. Grand Lost Token Kisses versus Phoenix Suns. 1-1. This is very much a toss-up. I think Tsukaba is maybe slightly favored. Maybe it's 1.1 to 1.
Barely, like point.
This is very close.
Yeah.
Shogun Bates versus Boca Raton Belly Bolts. I think this is about 1,000,000 to 1 matchup in favor of the was it the Bocha Raiden or was it? Sorry, it's just this foreign language to me. I don't know.
Boca Raton. Or something like that.
Yeah, but like it's a million to 1 odds. It's like trying to come back after an 0-3 loss. No one's ever done it.
I think it's as similar to what's his name, Mike Tyson versus
like a 12-year-old or
I can't remember who the fuck he lost to.
I don't know who Mike Tyson lost to. I only remember
Buster Douglas.
His name is escaping me, but the guy that Mike Tyson sells marijuana with now.
What?
Yeah, it's the guy who he bit the ear off. They run a company together selling marijuana.
Evander Holyfield?
Yeah, Holyfield, yeah.
Yeah, Holyfield.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's the package is shaped like an ear. It's great. I'm like Suarez against the guy who Suarez bit.
Yeah, maybe the Boca Raton belly bolts can be smoking that in Florida. Wherever it is.
I don't know if it's legal in Florida. I have no idea. I'm not American. It's not legal in my country.
Florida. It
might be legal in the ACT. But I mean, it's Florida. Aren't they like the most like? Are they trying to like ban Disney in a country where like
wow.
They're trying to like ban Disney in a state where like a third of their economy is Disneyland. Like, Florida's insane. Yeah. Oh, we didn't get to talk about Bruxish. But yes, I think this is definitely a matchup which strongly favors the team who has the strong water types. Now, Pittsburgh Piclops versus the Waterloo Wormadams, or Wormadams, because it's meant to be a play on the word madam, just like how Moth Him is supposed to be a play on the word him, because they're full. Speaking of full male Pokemon, Mothim. Clearly, that's the reason that an Amorous is here. I mean, I think this is... I've really struggled to put odds on this, but I feel like I think Steve. 4-1, I don't know, maybe 3-1.
I'm gonna say it's
in favor of Steve.
I'm gonna say 4-1.
4-1 feels like this doesn't feel as good as Tay's matchup into Sam. Mostly because I have no idea what Camo is doing besides beating you. The Daunting Dragonites versus the Golden Goats. This is another really difficult matchup to call. Like, I'm tempted to say 2-1 in either direction at this point. Like, it feels like one of you will come out of this really strongly, and the other one, like, this feels like a matchup which is not going to be close.
I don't know how to say this, but we'll say, I think Chase said after I named my mods after something like, I knew Chiampao was anti-Semitic, so we'll say 1 denial of the Holocaust to...
Okay. I thought you were going to go with a different number. I thought you were going to go with the other Holocaust
1 to 6
number.
million?
Yeah.
Yeah, we go to 1 to 6 million.
I don't know if I was going to go with that one, you were going to go... So, if Chase wins, it's 1 to 6 million, and if you win, it's 88 to 1, right? Yeah, it's like... just go on both sides of that. No, that's... Why is the Chiampao anti-Semitic? Did you call it Kanye West, or...?
Yeah, I named one of the weeks. I just named it with Kanye West song, and then I think Jace commented on my video. He's just like, "I always knew Chiampao Dragonite was anti-Semitic." I gave like a thumbs up and a heart.
Oh my gosh! I don't give a thumbs up. I just give them the heart emoji because then they know that it was me. And then if I'm not on my main account, then I give them a thumbs up. I want them to comment on my videos. To be honest, if I was looking at the Pokemon here to think which one was anti-Semitic, it would have to be Duat. Like, Duat looks like probably one of the top 5 most racist Pokemon. Like, bro looks like he said that he complained that Jinx was changed because he thought he was an accurate portrayal. Like, bro looks like Bro looks like he supported them bringing Kadabra back into the Pokemon TCG because he thought it would make Uri Geller mad for, you know, and he doesn't like Uri Geller because he's, you know, also like,
old coughing card. Duot supports the old coughing card.
Yeah. He's Duot is definitely one of those. Duot is definitely one of those collectors, right? You know, he's probably got like, a gun from like the Zulu War. You know, he probably has.
He's friends with a bunch of fairy types, man. Like he's not a Gen 1er. He's friends with a bunch of fairy types.
He's from Gen 5, so that was the last generation before the dude was like actually like he went to Australian holidays to see if he was allowed to vote no in the gay referendum we had, the gay marriage referendum, before remembering that he was an American citizen and was not allowed to vote just by being in Australia. Dude went over the border to Canada, saw like poutine somewhere, and decided he was never going to go to Europe because the French disgusted him. You know, like Duot is really one of those guys. Like, Duot in the anime is like Duot in the anime is a lot of things. You know, Duot is one of those guys. So I think that this matchup probably slightly favors Jace, but I think it's a really interesting game to see. And if I am taking a bet on what Daddy will pick, because this video is coming out tomorrow, not today, and I think Daddy will have picked by then, I'm gonna say probably Pow, right? Probably Rishweave.
I would say Weave's team, yeah.
And then I think that Jay would probably also prefer to get Weave's team. Even though I think I would much prefer to play Purple Rains, probably because I lost to Weave and beat Purple Rain, even though it was very close. It was not. Actually, both of those games were pretty close, and both of them came down to hacks. Now that I think about it. Rock Slide is a funny move, and Head Smash is funnier. Thank you everyone for watching. Do not draft Duot, or we will know. Texas. Goodbye.
This is where you say goodbye to.
Oh, goodbye, everyone.